Okay, everyone, let's get this horse galloping. This is episode 675, Blind Magic in Alice Springs, broadcasting direct from Central Australia. To you, to all of you, every single one of you. As I've said on many occasions, I absolutely love it. Okay, this is Murray Stewart. Yeah, I've done all of that. Okay, it's done now. And I'm also going to introduce Chris, Kiwi Chris. G'day, mate.
Good afternoon, Murray.
A member of my wonderful support team. Look, I've got to say, Chris, of all the interviews I have done, one of the most interesting was definitely in episode 673 with my mate Peter from Melbourne. Very, very interesting. And I always look up to people who have a great attitude and who are still making things happen at an older age. And he certainly is doing that. And so that inspires me because I absolutely want to know that I have a very, very bright future as I get older. I'm now almost 61, Chris, and I'm very excited to hear people like Peter, and I'm feeling great about my future because I think I've got a similar attitude profile, if I can say that. I don't know if you got something similar out of the interview that I did, Chris?
Very much so, Murray. In fact, you know, when I was about to turn 60, I thought it was time to go back to university and upgrade my knowledge because everything I knew was way out of date. So I did that, graduated when I was in my mid-60s with a master's degree. So
that's fantastic, very inspirational.
Well, it's you know, you've got to keep the brain moving, otherwise it will just atrophy and die. And, you know, at that point, you know,
You're 100% correct. And as you know, I've used my challenge to do things that I may never have done, like, you know, with learning the Italian and now getting on with the music. So, I mean, opportunity comes sometimes in many forms for many reasons.
You've got to grab it with both arms and
You
run with
do.
it. Yep.
You do. So he also, as in Peter, has chosen with his wife to downsize and to move into a seniors village. And he is very enthusiastic about the fact that this, in fact, has made him more productive because now he has more time to do the things that he enjoys, travel, etc., etc. What's your view on that, Chris?
Well, a bit of experience there, Murray. As you may not be aware, I actually managed several retirement villages a number of years back.
No, I wasn't aware.
No, well, you know, and amongst many other things, I was a CEO of an aged care business, and a part of the business was retirement villages. So we actually managed 4 of them altogether. If they're well run, and if they've got a good manager and a good maintenance team, ideal place to be because everything is done. You're paying your weekly maintenance bill, which might be $100 a week for everything to be done.
And there's security, which is a plus.
Very much so, yeah.
And a lot of these villages have it pretty much laid on, you know, the bowling green, the visiting hairdresser.
Golf club next door.
Yeah, just amazing. Hey, absolutely amazing. Like a Club Med resort, only you're there every single day.
Correct, yep. Certainly there are definite pros for it. Even you've got a well-kept garden that somebody else is managing for you. So couldn't ask for a better environment, to be honest.
I got a real surprise. It must have been almost 10 years ago now that my friends when I was visiting Melbourne, invited me to an address, and when I observed that it was a senior citizens village, I must confess I was rather shocked. I was, and I did visit, and I was shocked again, but in a very, very positive fashion. I honestly, it opened up my view completely about seniors villages, and I did think that if I was ever in that situation, why not? Why not?
Exactly. Yeah, excuse me, I've got a bit of an asthma attack happening here.
You all right? You okay?
Yeah, I'll be all right. I'll manage it. Carry on.
Okay. All right. So the other thing that came through in that discussion with Peter from me was attitude. You know, the fact that he's doing all of these amazing things, and he was very honest about the fact that he regards himself as being lucky, the fact that he's obviously financially okay, but he worked for that, and also he, health-wise, is fine.
Yep.
So he does talk about luck, but once again, he has worked at being healthy. But I just wonder sometimes whether what really is holding us back from taking on some challenges is really what's above our shoulders, the way in which we think about such matters.
Yep, I agree with that. You know, as you know, I'm a very keen cyclist, have been most of my life. There's some mornings at 4:30 we think, geez, do I really have to get out there and do it? And it's what's above my shoulders that's telling me to either go or not. So there is an internal battle there. Some days just simply to get myself out there and out on that bike.
So for the listeners' sake, Chris, you're in your 70s, yes?
Yeah, I'm 75.
75, so you're still very active.
Yep.
How often would you cycle?
I try and do 200 to 250 kilometres on the bike every week.
Wonderful. So that's an attitude thing. You've just decided that that's the sort of thing you want to do in order to keep yourself healthy, but also engaged in community. Yes, out there, talking to people, waving to people.
Drinking coffee.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, that's right. Communicating with the world. And that certainly will keep your, we talk about neuro pathways, but stimulating, exciting extra neuro pathways for sure. Absolutely it would be doing that.
Along with the endorphin kick.
100%.
Something about exerting yourself and the hormone surge that comes along
those
with it.
feel-good juices.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing quite like being on two wheels going at 70 kilometres an hour down a hill, mate. You should experience it sometime.
So are there things that you do now in order to keep yourself safe that maybe you didn't have to do, let's say 20, 30 years ago?
Mate, on the bike, always worn protective gear, always had helmets, always had gloves, always made sure that's I'm not completely immune. I've did have one nasty accident about 7 or 8 years ago, which I ended up in hospital with busted ribs and punctured lung. Goes with the territory, I've got to say it.
Yes.
Most sports people end up with a bad injury or another at some stage, and that just happened to be my one. It didn't get me off the bike. I couldn't wait to get back on the wheels.
Okay, so moving forward, obviously you intend to continue with your cycling because it's become as much a lifestyle thing for you as it is a health requirement or aid. It's something you want to continue doing, yes?
Well, it's something I've always done, Murray. You know, there was a time when I did the big three. I did run, swim and bike, and then did a few triathlons along the way. So my Achilles tendons don't like running so much. And as you know, I had these bunched up tendons on my shoulder that's kept me out of the swimming pool for a few years now. So the bike is all I've got at the moment, and I'll get as much maximum mileage and enjoyment out of it as I possibly can.
So I guess being physical and out there, meeting people, also means that it does leave you available for other challenges if they should come along. I mean, Peter spoke about the fact that he doesn't want to live in regret, and he spoke about skydiving when he was away, and a lot of people maybe wouldn't be able to challenge such a pursuit simply because they haven't been physical in their life. So once again, his headspace was able to be positive about it because he is fit and healthy. So the same for you, I guess, Chris, is that it does leave you available should something arise that you want to take on.
Yep, got to say, it's funny, my first wife was a skydiver, so I had plenty of experience packing chute. It never tempted me though, so I've got to say I'd go to the airfield and watch them doing their thing, but skydiving and bungee jumping, just simply things that haven't really grabbed me, but other
I'm a
things,
bit the same actually. It doesn't really excite me to the point whereby I would like to take on that challenge. Although I'll tell you what I did do once, and this I believe came down to the fact that I have been an athlete in the past, there was a massive trampoline down at Lawn in Victoria, and I actually did challenge that. I thought, that seems like fun. So me and my son actually did it together, and it's massive. Like it's an institution in Melbourne, and something that a lot of people are a little reluctant to do, particularly as an adult, even not even just an older adult. They feel, I don't know, a little embarrassed or something, whatever it is, I don't know, because you are out there publicly on display, I suppose. But for me, I thought, why not? And I do believe it's because I was left available to it through the fact that I was quite physically fit at the time.
Yep. Well, I think, I had a trampoline in the backyard for my kids. I'm always willing to partake, goodness me.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Doing a somersault on the tramp was great. Actually, one thing Peter said that really I totally agree with, and that is you can't afford to live your life in regret. In other words, regretting that you didn't do something. And living on Someday Isle, where you're basically telling yourself, someday I'll get around to it. It's Someday Isle is not a good place to be. It's not you do isolate yourself. So rather than saying someday I'll do it, you did make the decision, I'm going to.
Very, very good point. And it can come in many forms. So digressing a little, I have regretted that I have never learnt another language. I have genuinely regretted that, and I've often thought that here in Australia we are lazy when it comes to that. So I never expected to necessarily learn another language, but the opportunity has arisen through my need, as I've said on previous occasions, to create newer pathways. So here I am. I've learnt, taken up a course and completed a course in basic Italian. So I guess I can say that regret has been dealt with, Chris.
I understand. Yeah. Well, goodness me, go talk to any European, and they're usually multilingual. They speak 3 or 4 languages. They speak the language of the next door neighbour. And in Australia, let's face it, Australia is home to 700 different languages. So it's. I was talking to a young man down in the APY lands a few years ago, and we were talking about something, and I said, "How many languages do you speak, mate?" And he said, 7 good and 3 others not so good, and English as well, he said. So
wow, amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. So
and good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And if your head is holding you back, then there is a day coming, it's called tomorrow. You can fix that. You truly can fix that, because it is simply all about being positive and just doing it. Just doing it. Yeah. Don't think, do.
Yep. Get off that island, get off Sunday Island and get out there and have at it.
And you will be very surprised, because the brain is amazing. The brain is absolutely amazing. And you'll be very surprised once you do jump in at the deep end and take on something that you have always wanted to do, whether it be learning a language, a musical instrument, or bike riding perhaps. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is that you want to do. Perhaps it is bike riding. Perhaps it's the first step. Go out and buy yourself a bike, something that you can be proud of. Something beautiful, brand new, gleaming, colourful, all of the things that you want, and then just get on and give it a crack. What do you think, Chris?
Well, it's what I do as many times a week as I possibly can, so I'm all for that idea.
Yeah, so it starts with maybe just as simple as going to your bike shop and
high run for the day.
Forking out the dollars, and there you have it.
Yeah.
And then that removes that excuse, and away you go. Do you think someone who's an older age, how would you suggest they maybe link up with someone that they know of a similar age who is a bike rider and experience, two-wheel riding with someone safely who is out there constantly? Do you think that would be the way to go for someone starting out?
In every community there's a cycling group, a social group, and those guys live to ride their bikes and to drink coffee and talk about it afterwards.
Okay, so that's the way. Link yourself, guys, girls, with a little group close by, and they'll be only too happy to help you. Have you mentored someone such as that, Chris?
Oh, certainly have. Well, for a start, all of my kids, first thing I did when they were kids was to get them on the bike. And, when they grew up watching me jump on what I had back then, it was on a 10-speed Sterling. I'd always had a track bike and a road bike right from the time I was a teenager. So mentored my kids, now I'm mentoring their kids. Lots and lots of people my age, encouraged them to get out there and give it a go. But, people who rode their bike when they were teenagers, they said, I might have forgotten how to do it, but no, it never goes away. Jump on board and away you go. It's
isn't it interesting, because some kids can just jump on and go, and others require effort after effort after effort. It's one of those things where it just comes so naturally to some and not so naturally to others.
Yeah. But once you've got it sussed, that's it. There's no going back.
Yeah.
Always forward on a bike. This is the thing. There's no going back on a bike.
I'll tell you the one thing that I established at an earlier age that I couldn't do, but maybe as I get older and bolder, maybe I will. Maybe I will go back to it. And that is water skiing. I live by the Williams River in the Hunter Valley, very famous for its amazing water skiing zones, and yet I just couldn't get the hang of it. I don't know what it was. As the boat took off, I just simply found myself being dragged under the water rather than riding the surface of the water, and I just simply could not seem to get the hang of it. And yet, you get these 6-7-year-olds that jump in and away they'd go. So I suppose in the end, my headspace took over. I was a little bit embarrassed, I guess, that these little tackers could do it so easily, and yet I struggled. So, yeah, that might be something that I can fix when I'm visiting my mum in the Hunter Valley on the banks of the mighty Williams River.
Yeah, it's a bent knee sport. Hey, snow skiing, ice skating, water skiing, they're all bent knee sports, mate. Got to learn, just got to put your bum close to the ground to bend your knees, and you're in motion.
Yeah, well, maybe I just need a little mentorship from someone who does it regularly. And I mean, I'm not going to blame. There was a guy that did try to give me a bit of a hand, but yeah, for some reason, I just couldn't get it. But I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, so there is time. I now just need the opportunity.
Yeah, take it when it arrives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. This has been episode 675, a Blind Magic Communications production.